Hello, welcome to Lesson 1 of the Empath Empowerment Mini Course. I am so grateful that you're here to explore with me. My name is Kayla and I'm the founder of Light and Shadow Kayla. So let me tell you a little bit about the value that you'll be getting out of today's lesson. So I'm going to be sharing with you in our first lesson today an energy clearing sequence that you can come back to again and again in your life. It's a really powerful technique that will clear away any shame or doubt that comes with being an empath. Whether you are consciously aware of it or not, this tool works. And no matter where you are in your understanding of yourself and your gifts and or shadows as an empath, this tool will give you the support to empower yourself again and again and layer by layer. So, before we get to that tool, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. So I am an empath. And it has created a lot of challenging situations in my life for me. So, for example, being an empath who is highly sensitive to sound and lights and temperature and other people's energies, it can be overwhelming to be in the world a lot of the times. And you can probably relate to this in some way or another. And so what I ended up doing was creating ways to block myself off from my deep sensitivity. And I have one example of this, which I would love to share with you, a short story about when I was 11. When I was 11, I began to realize, as a little girl growing up in Texas in the 80s, I began to realize that the meat that my family was eating, good old Texas family, American family, the meat that we were eating, I was beginning to realize was filled with sorrow and sadness and pain. Now, don't run away. This is not about being a vegetarian or not being a vegetarian. But what I realized as a little girl, and through my connection with animals on the outside and how I could communicate with animals, was that it was 100% not right for me to be eating these animals. I knew that that cow that was in that burger had experienced great suffering in being made into meat. And so I, through my deep, deep sensitivity, sensed this about the world. And I remember one morning going downstairs and telling my mother, after having this just epiphany in my room the night before, "Mom, I'm not eating meat anymore." And that was the beginning of a whole decade or more of being shamed for that sensitivity that led me to being a vegetarian. So back in those days, there was no internet. I couldn't research it. We didn't know anybody who was a vegetarian. I had never even heard of it. It came to me through these sensitivity channels that I had access to as a child that I hadn't fully learned to shut off yet. So it began the process of being really shamed throughout my life. And I was shamed for being too sensitive and for being too emotional. And I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but I'm guessing that you can. A lot of us who are deeply feeling, we are a minority, maybe 3 to 5% of the population are what we would call highly sensitive beings. So that's 3 to 5%. That's a tiny, tiny percentage of people. So if everybody else in the population is functioning at this sort of normal level of sensitivity, and then there's those of us who are highly sensitive, it's a really hard world to assimilate to, and many people are not going to understand us. So it is up to us to understand ourselves and begin to love ourselves. So that's what I want to go through today. Whether you are aware of any shaming, any outright shaming or any subtle shaming that you have internalized about being a very sensitive being, about feeling others' emotions, about feeling the emotions of the world, about feeling the suffering of the world, about being sensitive to lights and sounds in a chaotic world. We're going to clear some of that away right here, right now. So bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. And I want you to take some deep breaths into your belly, breathing all the way down. Really inviting ourselves into our body, knowing that it is safe to be in our body right here, right now. Those deep belly breaths. And if you'd like, you can even move your hips around in circles. So as empaths, a lot of the times what we do is we leave the body because of our sometimes overwhelming sensitivity, or shall I say, our sensitivity in an overwhelming world. We leave the body. So we're going to start by just being in the body. And I'm going to take you through some statements as we tap on different meridian points of the body. So this is a practice called EFT. Doesn't matter if you know it or not, it'll still work. So we're going to start by tapping on the top of the eyebrow. You can use either side of your body, doesn't matter. You can tap on either eyebrow. And just one side is fine. And you're going to repeat after me. I am too sensitive or overly emotional. I fluctuate emotionally frequently, tapping on the side of the eye. Tapping on the top of the lip. I feel depressed after being around others for no discernible reason. Tapping on the chin. I find it hard to authentically be myself around others. Tapping on your collarbone. I have a tendency to put others before myself. Tapping on the karate chop point of the hand. Saying no is a challenge. Tapping on the inside of your pinky. Speaking up for my needs is a challenge. Tapping on the inside of the ring finger. I experience social anxiety, chronic fatigue, or even chronic pain. Tapping on the middle finger. I sometimes feel like hiding away because others' energies are overwhelming. I want to fix people because I can feel their suffering. Good, relax the hand. So some of those may or may not be true for you. That's okay, those are just kind of blanket statements that a lot of empaths might be feeling an overwhelm. So now you're going to make a fist, and you're going to tap right here between the pinky and the ring knuckle. So we're going to just do some calibrations in the body and in the mind. So you're tapping here, you're going to close the eyes, open the eyes, look down hard to the right without moving your head. Look down hard to the left without moving the head. Roll your eyes all the way around as if you were reading a clock without moving the head. Now roll your eyes all the way back around anti-clockwise. Now you're going to hum Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Count from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you're going to hum Twinkle, Twinkle again. Relax the hands. Feel those breaths deep into your belly. Letting go of needing to understand, just allowing the process to work at a deep energetic level. We're going to tap again, another round. So you're going to start with the top of the eye, and this time we're going to say some affirmation statements. Repeat after me. I love and accept myself as I am. Side of the eye. I forgive myself and set myself free. Tapping the top of the lip. My sensitivity is a superpower. Tapping in the chin. I am worthy of love. Tapping on the collarbone. I choose to be kind to myself. Tapping on the karate chop point. I release the need to take care of others' suffering. That one's important. Tapping the inside of the pinky. I am able to say no and stand up for myself. Tap the inside of the ring finger. I speak up for my needs. Taking the inside of this finger. I put myself first. Tapping the inside of the pointer. I am able to be authentically myself around others. Tapping the top of the head. I am whole and holy. I am whole and holy. I am whole and holy. Relax the hands down, feeling your breath again. And just allowing this process to integrate in your system. So we are energetically changing the patterning of our belief system through this practice. So you can go back and you can do this again. You could do it several times, saying the first statements and then the second statements, and seeing how you feel afterward. So in our next lesson, I'm going to be sending you another video to your inbox, and it's going to be filled with some other amazing practices and information about how to empower yourself as an empath. Thank you so much. I can't wait to be with you again tomorrow.